Hi bestie, welcome back to another video. I am so happy you came all the way to another Friday to sit down here with me and talk a little bit more of some true crimes. It means a lot. Please get comfortable. Lay down, sit down, get a little water, your little tea, your little coffee, soda, whatever you want. If you do not know me, which you probably don't, my name is Mariana, and every Friday I come in here and I try to freak you out a little bit. Not with this face, but with this case we're gonna talk about today. So without further ado, let's dive in. So today's case is the Silent Twins. So the twins' parents' name was Gloria and Albert Gibbons. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I hope I am. They lived a normal life like any other family. Before the twins were born, they did have 2 kids, and they lived in Barbados, where our Queen Riri lives or is from. So on April 11 of 1963, which is 1 year before my mom was born, actually. Hi mom. The twins were born. June was the first one, and then 10 minutes later Jennifer came into this world. Now their mother was a housewife, and the father used to work on the British Air Force. He was a technician. So shortly after they were born, as a military life, her father got transferred and they all came with him, and they went to this city called, now let me read it because I do not know how to pronounce it and I could not memorize it. Haverford West. Now that place, no black family has ever moved in there, so they are already treated a little different. They were exotic in the neighborhood, and you can already imagine a little bit of the prejudice and just a little bit of how hard it might have been. A few years later, they had another kid named Rose, but the siblings are a little irrelevant to the story. We're here to talk about the twins. So now that we have a little bit more of an idea of the twins' background with their parents, siblings, and where they used to live, now we actually gonna dive in to the case. So like any other twins, they were inseparable. They used to play together all the time. They used to do everything together, play, eat, shower. But the only difference between them and other kids was they took a little longer to start speaking. They were having a lot of difficulties on forming small phrases or even pronouncing some words that should be easy. And for the fact that both of them were having the same issue and they were so inseparable, the 2 of them decided to actually create a new language. Nobody could understand that language. Their parents couldn't understand, their siblings couldn't understand. It was believed to be a sped up version of Bajan Creole, but I couldn't find more information about that, I'm sorry. But it turns out that they were happy. Their parents noticed the kids were happy and that shouldn't be such a big issue, and eventually they would start talking and communicating with other people like any other kid do, somewhere later in life, somewhere earlier in life. It happened. So the parents decided to let the kids be. When the twins turned 5 years old, they started going to school, and that's where everything started going downhill. When the twins got to school, the teachers said that they were very eccentric, very shy. They were imitating each other's movements, doing the same things in the same second. And it was so frequent that it started to kind of be normal, that behavior. Like natural if they were the same person. That's where I'm trying to get in. They start imitating movements on the same second like they were the same person. Even the school therapist said how it was very bizarre, that behavior of being synchronized. For example, if one of them fell on the floor, the other one would throw themselves on the floor. If June was quiet, Jennifer wouldn't say anything. It was just so crazy for the people at school how weird it was, the way they're so synchronized. It was like so perfect. Now, school-wise, the twins did not learn much. They couldn't understand what the people were saying because they don't speak English, they speak their own language. So it was hard for the teachers to teach them, for them to ask the teachers what the heck is going on, and that just made them be a little more enclosed, and then just being in that world where it was only the two of them living in it. So their father was transferred again to another city called Brenton. I think I'm pronouncing it wrong, probably. And that's when everything got worse. Now, I was a little confused when I was doing my research and learning about the case. In the first city that they was in, they were the first Black family in that city. Eventually, they went to school, and I believe more Black families started moving in because they went to school and it wasn't mentioned anything about them being the only Black kids in the school. Now, in Brampton, they are the only Black kids in the school. So I think that either there wasn't Black family living in there, or there was, but this school that they were in was white only, and they were the first Black to be integrated to that school. But what I'm trying to say is everything got worse because apparently they were the only ones, and the kids were on and on and on it, on the bullying. For the fact that they were a different color, for the fact that they were weird, they wouldn't talk, they would talk this weird language, and they would be acting synchronized. So apparently they were giving lots of reasons for the kids to bully them, even though there's no reason to be bullied. And being the target of that much bullying made them even closer. The dependency they had on each other grew immensely faster than expected or wished for. And the bullying was so big as well that the teachers I forgot the name. The faculty of the school decided that it was better if they started releasing the two girls before the bell, so they could avoid to being harassed by the kids on the way home. So they were the first one to be released from school, which very thoughtful, honestly. Now, there was a vaccination day on school, and one of the nurses said that it was very bizarre how they acted like they were like computers, like robots or something, because they didn't express fear, they didn't blink. They were just sitting in there looking to nothingness and just receiving the injection, kind of like this. Because usually kids be scared. I'm not even a kid anymore, and I get scared. I need to hold somebody's hand. So yeah, they didn't even hold each other's hands, honestly. They were just like looking in nothingness, like the person is right here. They're just speaking or blinking or nothing while the injection is being in. It was just weird, and the nurse thought that was very bizarre, and for that to be a case, and I believe it was very bizarre. Because I don't think the nurse knew anything about it, she just made a comment. But back in the case, at one point they got so fed up with the bullying that they decided not to speak with each other anymore in public, only when they were alone. So maybe that will kind of minimize the amount of harassment that they were receiving from the other kids. So the parents decided to bring the girls to the hospital to see if they had any kind of disorders, doing some analysis, you know, and the therapist meets with them. But the twins refused to speak while in the presence of her, but they will speak if she led a pre-recorded questions in there with space so they can speak. Literally the girls just consented to just have their conversations recorded if they were alone. For that, she will have to pre-record questions with a space so the twins could reply and she could listen to it later. The therapist, however, had a sense that she wished to speak, she wanted to talk, but she felt like she was being compelled not to by Jennifer. She said, and I quote,
Jennifer sat there with a expressionless gaze, but I felt her power. The thought entered my mind that June was possessed by her twin.
After that visit, the parents decided with the hospital that to give the twins a little bit more of independency, it would be better if they went to separate schools so they could do things on their own, be their own person, be alone for a while. But not being together all the time actually get the reverse effect and made everything worse. When you think it could be worse, everything just get worse in this freaking story. Literally, when I was researching it, the amount of everything got worse, everything turned out to be the worst. It's not even funny. They became catatonic, and a catatonic person means that the person don't express feelings, don't cry, don't laugh, don't sleep, don't talk, don't move. It's literally if they're just like a corpse or something, like a walking corpse. And June even tried to kill herself once. So the parents decided, let's just put them back together again, because we cannot be having that. They were at least fine when they were together, and now they're acting like corpses, and one even tried to actually be a corpse and kill herself. So no, let's put them back together. I feel so sorry for those parents. I cannot imagine the amount of failed solutions they had to go through, and the fear they might have been feeling for their kids' safety and well-being. I don't know. So a few years go by, they turned 17. They were more united than ever, to the extreme where they would lock themselves in their bedroom. They would just be there. They would not talk to their parents. They would not talk to their siblings. They would just be locked in the bedroom, talking between them and not going out and doing anything. It got to this extreme where it was just them two, nobody else. The mother would bring food to the bedroom whenever the food was ready, because they would not leave the room. And let's say they didn't have TV in the room, right? So for them to actually watch something, they will write a note, kind of like saying,
at this date and time, this program will be on, and we would like to watch it, so please leave the TV on that channel that day and time.
And then they would just put it under the door. The mother would read, and they will open the door, stay in the bedroom door, watching afar from watching from distance on the living room TV. That's how they will watch TV, by staying here, still watching something all the way over there, because they wouldn't leave the bedroom to actually sit down on the couch. They played with us all day long. At that time, they developed a huge passion for writing. They had diaries. They would write all day long. They would even get each other's diaries and read each other's stuff to make sure that everything was correct, make sure the writing was perfect, punctuation was perfect. They really enjoyed writing. Even though it looked like a horrible situation, the ones that the twins were living in, a freaking 17 years old, and after everything, they looked happy. They enjoyed themselves. That was a decision that they made, and that's what they wanted to do, and they were happy. So the parents, again, decided to just let it slide, because if they tried to intervene, they just get crazier, and try to kill themselves, be catatonic, just be acting out. So no, let them be happy. We can hear them laughing from the bedroom. We see that they're okay, so let's just let it happen. There are some quotes from the diary, and let me read one to you.
Nobody suffers the way I do. Not with a sister. With a husband, yes. With a wife, yes. With a child, yes. But the sister of mine, a dark shadow, robbing me of sunlight, it's my one and only torment.
At the same time, they will save every money that they will receive from their parents. They wanted to enroll in creative writing. They wanted to be famous publishers, write books, but unfortunately, the books that they wrote, nobody would like to publish. It was a little bit of brutal, and there was a lot of blood, crime, inappropriate stuff, rough stuff, and nobody wanted to publish them. But they decided to publish for themselves, and then nobody wanted to buy it because, as I told before, it was too graphic, it was too rated R, and that created a anger inside of them, a frustration, better saying, that it made everything worse. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing. It's serious. They actually started to talk. They started going out. They started to talk to people, having a life. But unfortunately, they were criminals. They turned into criminals. They started to drink a lot, to smoke a lot, to rob people, to rob places. They were acting, yeah. Woo woo, rock and roll. They decided that they went from 0 to 100 real quick. Until one day, a policeman was guarding. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he was like taking care of these streets in the neighborhood, and he saw the twins trying to put fire on a bar, and fortunately he was able to stop them before they actually put fire on that business place, and he brought them to the police station. They were sentenced to 12 years in the maximum security of a psychiatric center, and there they started being medicated. They weren't so attached anymore, and they just start living with other criminals. At that point, they went from inseparable to hating each other. They couldn't stand each other. They still had their strange habits, don't get me wrong. That was still going. Like, for example, one of them, like Jennifer, would eat everything for the day: breakfast, dinner, lunch, snacks. She would just eat all, while June would not eat at all for the day, and vice versa. Sometimes they were found standing still, doing the same thing, like just looking at each other, and that's it. Very bizarre. They would eat all day, they would just do that all day. They had this loving-hate relationship, but if you left them alone, they would try to kill each other. They would scratch, bite, beat each other up. But then they would just forgive each other and forget about it and just be okay again. Kind of like a sibling relationship, but a sibling relationship, they'll try to actually kill the other one, and it doesn't get as physical. But with them, they went from, again, 0 to 100 real quick. Water turned into wine, or vice versa. Wine turned into water. But at that point, they just completely, truly, no reason, hated each other. In those 11 years that they were in the maximum security psychiatric center, this journalist called Marjorie got very intrigued by the twins case, and she decided to go there and start interviewing them and learning more about it. She started writing about the twins and even decided to publish a book about them. In one of the conversations that Marjorie had with Jennifer, Jennifer actually confessed to Marjorie. She basically said that she will have to kill herself so they could live a better life, and they come into a decision that it was going to be Jennifer. They made a pact, and that's how it was supposed to be. Now Marjorie, she got a little scared about the whole thing, but she didn't take them seriously because they were famous for this love-hate relationship, and she just thought that they were bluffing. In 1973, the twins did new exams, and it was decided that they were fine. Despite everything, they were okay, and they didn't need to be in the maximum security prison anymore. They should be okay to go to a minimum security prison. So at the age of 31, the day of the transfer, it was reported that the twins were happy, laughing, talking, actually excited to be able to have a little bit more of freedom from the maximum security. And they just entered the ambulance, very chatful, happy, laughing. But when they arrived at the center, Jennifer was found dead. In the autopsy made, they couldn't find anything. There was no poison, no sign of abuse, no sign of trying to defend herself, nothing. It was like a natural case. At age of 31, a natural case. It's a little hard to believe. And the reason of the death was acute myocarditis. It is an inflammation in the myocardium of the thick muscular layer of the heart wall. And all of this is going to be written down here because ain't no way in hell I even know what the fuck that is. So June said that in her sister's last minutes, seconds of life, she was laying down on her lap and looked at her and said, "We are finally free," and died. And a few days later, the journalist went to talk to June, and she said the same thing. "We are finally free. I actually get to live my life and be happy now." A year after being released from the hospital, she changed completely. She started being social. She started talking. She was acting like she'd never spent years of her life, I mean her entire life, not talking to anybody but her sister. Of course, she wasn't perfectly speaking. She still had a little trouble on actually pronouncing the words and just like speaking normally, but she was speaking normally. She was literally speaking as if a person had just come to America and was had a very bad accent and was trying to really speak. So she was just acting all kinds of normal. And she even changed her name. She wanted to be called Allison, which is actually her middle name, because she did not want to have any memories and any recollection of her past life as a silent twin that was possessed by her twin. It took her 5 years to get over her death, her sister's death, and realizing that she's her actual person and not somebody's shadow, not part of somebody's body. She was just her and her only. And she was finally free after those 5 years. From what I got from that story, she actually believed that that they were the same person. She did not believe that they were different people. Another bizarre thing about this case, as if the case itself was not bizarre from all I told, but the book that they decided to publish by themselves, it called something Pepsi Cola. Only June's name was published. She was the only author. Jennifer's name was never there, which is really bizarre because Jennifer's not even here, so she would take all the credit of all the money she would get from the book. Interesting. It's like she knew. It's like they knew that this would happen, and her sister's name, Jennifer's name, wouldn't need to be there. Very intriguing. But yeah, this is the case of the silent twins. It's a very bizarre situation where two people don't talk, only talk with themselves, are secluded together, then one died mysteriously from natural causes at such a young age, and the whole publishing with only one of their names because they were inseparable. So why will only one name be there? It's a lot. And to this day, there's no explanation from their behavior. There's no explanation for her death other than natural cause. And she knew, she literally looked at her laying down and said, "We're now free," and died. No, I don't buy it. I do not buy it, and I need some kind of explanation, and I cannot find it. So if you could give me all your theories down below, please let me know. If I said something wrong in this video too, if I had wrong information, or if I should add something, you can add it in the comments below, and I will gladly put in my description. I will gladly do something, maybe on my TikTok, talking about it. Which bring me to the case, if you do not follow me on TikTok yet, I'm gonna leave all of my social media links down below. And don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends this very bizarre story. I want to know what all of y'all think. And yes, I see you in another video, my besties. Please stay safe. Please don't do anything wrong. And I'll see you next Friday. Bye.